Days ago, UN experts said Gaza is running out of time. The 2.3 million Palestinians under occupation and siege in the Gaza ghetto are running out of life. An Israeli expert in genocide said this is a textbook case of genocide. So did UN experts. So did so many scholars. This is a case of genocide, and it's a televised genocide. People can see it. They cannot claim they don't know. When Israel's war minister called us human animals, Jewish Voice for Peace, our partners in the US, responded, quote, "As Jews, we know what happens when people are called animals. We can and we must stop this. Never again means never again for anyone. Never again is now." Since October 7th, mainstream media will tell you, and even the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court will tell you, more than 4,500 Palestinian children have died. Tell them they didn't just die, they were killed. Name the crime, shame the criminal. But violence did not begin on October 7th. As the Brazilian philosopher Paulo Freire says, with the establishment of a relationship of oppression, violence has already begun. Violence is initiated by those who oppress, who exploit, who fail to recognize others as persons, not by those who are oppressed, exploited, and unrecognized, end of quote. The reaction of the oppressed, whether legally or morally justifiable or not, is always a reaction to the initial violence of the oppressor. Understanding the context does not mean you have to accept it, but you have to understand it. Israel's 75 years of settler colonialism and apartheid, that's the context. Decades of occupation, that's the context. 16 years of siege, that is the context. If you hate violence like we do, help us end oppression. If you hate oppression like we do, help us end complicity by growing the BDS movement to end state, corporate, and institutional complicity. In the time of genocide, ending complicity is the most important obligation you have. Inspired by South Africa's movements and the US civil rights movement, BDS was established in 2005 with a consensus in Palestinian society, in Palestine and in exile. Over the last 18 years, we have formed partnerships, trade unions, farmers unions, social justice, gender justice movements, together representing tens of millions worldwide. We have forced large complicit companies like G4S, Veolia, Orange to abandon their Israeli market because they're corporate criminals. We have made large pension funds that completely divest from companies involved in the occupation. Israel is a key partner of the far right across Europe, including in this country. Most of this far right is anti-Semitic to the core, yet they love Israel, and Israel loves them. Israel also loves despotic regimes and dictatorships because they give them their weapons field-tested on Palestinians. Israel's genocide is armed, enabled, and shielded from accountability by the US, by powerful European states, by the EU. States that allow weapons to transit to Israel through their ports enable genocide. Companies like Carrefour, AXA, HP, Puma are enabling apartheid. Academic and cultural institutions that continue business as usual with Israel are enabling apartheid. Investment funds that invest in those complicit companies are enabling apartheid. No business as usual with Israel, with an apartheid state. We salute the Belgian city councils of Liège and Verviers who have cut ties with apartheid Israel. I was asked by the media, what do you ask of the Belgian government? I said, we agree with Belgium's Deputy Prime Minister, Petra de Sutter, when she said, quote, "It is time for sanctions against Israel. It's time for the ICC to investigate war crimes. It's time for suspending the EU-Israel Association Agreement. It is time to ban settlement goods. And it's time to ban Israeli political and military personnel from entering the EU. It is time for a ceasefire now." And it's time for a military embargo. No weapons to Israel. No weapons passing through Belgium to Israel. We salute the 3 Belgian trade unions that refuse to load weapons in ports and airports that are destined to Israel. We salute them. We salute the artists, the academics, the students across Europe who have marched, who have peacefully occupied buildings, stations, metro stations. This is true solidarity, pushing for ceasefire now. In the time of genocide, of the unspeakable death, destruction, and horrific suffering of our people in Gaza, now is the time to call for ceasefire. Now is the time to boycott, divest from, and sanction Israel. Now is the time for BDS. Let's rise up united in struggle to dismantle the structures of all oppression, insisting that everyone has a right to life, everyone has